nuclear plant. Brunel.
I am the man with the power to create catastrophe.
Next Saturday at 9:15 on London Weekend Television, The Boys from Brazil.
By killing this old mailman, I will be fulfilling the destiny of the Aryan race.
I am a scientist. I have done my job.
Did the babies all come from Brazil?
The mystery surrounding The Boys from Brazil next Saturday. Next Sunday at 7:45, Callan is back.
What's been a problem to us, Callan?
I shouldn't have got you into this.
What's the matter, son? Doesn't know how to let you kill anybody lately?
I need details.
I don't know. Fighting a battle in the morning, then we're having lunch, then we're fighting another battle in the afternoon, then I'll kill him.
2 films not to miss next weekend.
Is the number up for other hatchbacks? You might decide it is, because now there is 205, the new number to be reckoned with from Peugeot. 205, with 65.7 mpg petrol economy that beats every other 5-door hatchback, plus outstanding performance. 205 lifts you out of that small car feeling, thanks to a new suspension system that gives you big car space and a beautiful big car ride. Add 5-door versatility and a starting price of just $3,895. And it not only challenges other hatchbacks, you could say a day of reckoning has arrived. The 5-door Peugeot 205, the new number to be reckoned with at your Peugeot Talbot dealer, now.
There's one car ferry company which is raising the standard for motorists between Dover and Boulogne, who know how quickly you want to drive on and drive off, who know you want a meal whatever time you sail, who sail on the even hour every 2 hours, who are reducing prices on many summer sailings, and who put you on the road to Paris and the South. Who else makes sure your holiday abroad starts on board? P&O Ferries, raising the standard from Dover to Boulogne.
Remember, Tipex is the tops, available in regular white, student manuscript and a surprising range of colours. Tipex, ask for it by name.
Report? On that report I sent you. Report? Where are your comments?
Comments?
On that report.
What report?
That I sent you.
You sent me a report.
All your comments.
While some of your competitors are prisoners of their in-tray, you can be a generation ahead of them with Data General's comprehensive electronic office, enabling you to send and receive critical information by computer. And Data General systems are so compatible they can even link up with the leading mainframe to help keep you ahead of your competitors. Data General, a generation ahead.
Great vitamins and extra minerals in Crooks. One a day. Great vitamins and extra minerals in Crooks. One a day. The youngest just to make sure, and oldest whose appetite is poor, and soon to be mamas who may need a little more. There are great vitamins and extra minerals in Crooks.
With iron and now without, Crooks one-a-day multivitamins.
Israel. It's about time you got a whole lot more from your winter holiday.
Once upon a time, there was a little boy whose cough was driving his chums up the wall. Then one of them remembered.
Come on, Sixty Lick!
So off they went to get some. After all, they'd seen a commercial that said, Tixilix is specially made to soothe children's coughs to sleep. They gave the little boy a spoonful, and before you could say, available only from chemists, he was sleeping soundly, and his chums could enjoy their evening in peace.
Dream, dream, dream. You're watching London Weekend Television. Now the latest news from ITN.
The suffering of Uganda. End the violence now, says the Archbishop of Canterbury. 25 animal rights protesters arrested at Fox Farm. Brighton do it again. Liverpool are out of the FA Cup. And is this the way to turn up for school? Good evening. About 30 people, including at least 7 children, are now feared dead in Uganda after an armed gang ransacked a village near Kampala. Many of the victims had been hacked and slashed with knives and machetes. Full details of the attack, one of the bloodiest incidents in the country for several months, reached Kampala as the Archbishop of Canterbury, Dr. Robert Runcie, was preaching to thousands of Christians there. He called for an end to the tide of violence and a new beginning for Uganda. Dr. Runcie's been hearing from local churchmen about conditions in the country. Today he installed a new Anglican archbishop and urged the people to resort not to the gun, but to the olive branch.
On a day when the Archbishop of Canterbury began his sermon by saying, "Of all the nations on earth, you deserve a new beginning," we came to the Mulago Hospital in Kampala. It is the very worst face of Uganda, but the fact that it exists at all in this naturally rich country is proof of how far off that new beginning is. This child is one of the latest arrivals at Ward 7 in Mulago. He and the baby next to him are suffering from the most acute malnutrition that could kill in a matter of days. Like so many others here, they're orphans and refugees. Their parents have died in a war over who should run this country. There's strong evidence, as there is with dozens of orphans here, that those parents were killed by an army still ignoring the rights of innocent civilians. From now on, they'll take their place with hundreds of others in the food line that symbolizes total dependency. Dependency on relief agencies in Britain, America, Germany and elsewhere, who provide the aid that keeps them alive. Some inevitably will not make it. There is one child here who has to be fed intravenously, and then with a mouth syringe. But he's too weak to accept the best technology can offer. His life can be measured in days. The world, as Dr. Runcie said in his sermon, has not been deaf to the cries of a nation which has been subjected to appalling suffering. Yet the world, as the Archbishop was quick to add, cannot even begin to appreciate the tragedy that is the life of these people and these children. Because if there is hope today in Ward 7 of the Mulago Hospital, it is for the next generation, not this one. David Smith, ITN, Kampala, Uganda.
Here, 25 animal rights demonstrators have been arrested trying to break into a fox farm. Thousands of protesters had marched on the farm, which has been the scene of previous demonstrations.
Around 3,000 demonstrators from all over Britain converged on Cocksparrow Farm to demonstrate against the conditions of the Arctic foxes farmed there. The protesters from scores of animal welfare groups as well as anarchist organisations joined the procession. The police were taking no chances. Over 500 officers, including mounted police, surrounded the farm.
And any amount of blood money that we have cost him in damage or whatever could never compensate for the loss of life that that man has stolen.
After some chanting and the burning of a fox fur, the protesters tried several times to break through the police cordon. They were unsuccessful, but this was when the arrests were made. A line of mounted police then drove back the demonstrators, who retreated, still chanting. Sally Jones, ITN, in Warwickshire.
3 men are tonight recovering at Harefield Hospital in Middlesex after surgeon Magdi Yaqub and his team performed 3 separate heart transplants in as many days. The first operation on Friday was on a 43-year-old steel worker from Gwent. Yesterday, Mr. Yaqub gave a new heart to a 33-year-old electrician from Wiltshire, and today he operated on a 49-year-old former pilot from Oslo in Norway. The government have been accused of trying to smash the unions at the major intelligence gathering base at Cheltenham under cover of the law. The TUC General Secretary, Mr. Len Murray, said on ITV's Weekend World that the government must be made to change their decision to ban unions at the base.
So first of all, your reason, your argument, you try and persuade them to change their mind, and surely even Mrs. Thatcher can change her mind when she's patently wrong. If you can't change the mind of an employer on a wage claim, or a government on authoritarian action of this sort, then you consider how you can put pressure on them in terms of non-cooperation or even beyond that. But at this stage, I believe the emphasis should be on getting the government to say to back off.
The Conciliation Service ACAS is trying to get talks going in the dispute which has stopped the Times and the Sunday Times. There'll again be no Times tomorrow. The Printers Union, SOGAT, says it's ready to meet the management over the dispute, which is about staffing the newspaper's libraries. Ford workers at Dagenham have voted to put off the company-wide strike called over the plan to close the Dagenham foundry. But the meeting of almost half the plant's workforce gave union negotiators the power to call a strike if talks planned for later this month don't resolve the issue. The meeting was the first of several at Ford plants throughout the country. In Northern Ireland, Petrol bombers attacked the police in Londonderry tonight, the 12th anniversary of Bloody Sunday. Earlier, a march organised by Provisional Sinn Féin passed off without trouble. It was to commemorate the civil rights demonstrations in 1972, when soldiers opened fire and killed 13 people. It's been another blow to Mr. Yitzhak Shamir's coalition government in Israel. His minister without portfolio, Mr. Mordecai Ben-Porat, has resigned, accusing the government of being unable to function. Last week, the coalition survived a no-confidence motion by 6 votes. A Spanish general has been shot dead in Madrid. General Guillermo Quintana, former commander of the Madrid military region, was the 6th Spanish general to be killed in the past 5 years. He was shot in the head and his wife injured as the couple walked home from Mass. The gunmen are thought to be Basque separatists. The Olympic flame has started its journey from ancient Olympia to the Winter Olympics at Sarajevo. A torch was lit from the sun's rays in the temple ruins where the first Olympics were held in 776 BC. Then a break with tradition as the game's first girl torchbearer with assistant saw it on its way to the cars and planes which take over to deliver it to the Sarajevo opening ceremony in 9 days' time. A team of policemen and women from Humberside have raised £2,000 in a sponsored run for victims of the IRA Harrods bomb. 3 police officers and 3 civilians were killed in the blast last December.
8 men and 2 women from the Humberside force took it in turns to run the 200 miles between Hull and central London. They ran for an hour at a time, resting in between in a minibus which drove behind them. All the way they were accompanied by escorts provided by each local police force whose area they passed through. Towards the end of the run, they passed Harrods, doffing their running caps in respect. They arrived after a day, a night and a morning to a warm welcome from the officers at Chelsea Police Station. Also from the widow and children of Inspector Stephen Dodd, who was killed by the bomb, and from Sergeant Andrew Mellom, who was injured by it and who still carries shrapnel in his body.
It's been marvellous all the way. People stopping us en route. One lady, just as we left the Humber Bridge, cycled 4 miles on a bike just to drop £1 in the tin.
What was it like for you all passing Harrods?
Lump in the throat. No two ways about it. A real lump in the throat. I mean, it's very, very hard to appreciate what it was actually like. And I suppose we're fortunate that we don't know what it was like.
The police runners collected £2,000 from well-wishers, which Chelsea police will add to the £75,000 which has already come in from the public. John Suchet, ITN, in London.
Now soccer. Brighton are celebrating tonight after sending favourites Liverpool crashing out of the FA Cup for the 2nd year running. Their 2-0 victory came after 2 goals inside a minute in the second half.
On for Ryan, onside, played onside by Neil. Can he make it this time? He can! Joey Ryan has put Brighton into the lead. Can Brighton hold them now? Well, this understanding there between Nicol and Kennedy, and now Connor's through. Can this be two? It is!
Snooker, and 21-year-old Jimmy White is within just 1 frame of becoming the youngest player ever to win the Benson & Hedges Masters tournament. In the best of 17 contest, White is now leading the 1980 champion Terry Griffiths by 8 frames to 5. Cricket. England fast bowler Neil Foster will miss the second test against New Zealand starting on Friday. Foster broke a toe when he was hit on the foot by a practice ball from England captain Bob Willis. The match against Otago, disrupted by rain, ended in a draw. And finally, for those of you still dreaming of the smell of sawdust and the roar of the crowd, the message is go back to school. Circus owner Jerry Cottle has opened Britain's very first circus school at Weybridge in Surrey, and would-be clowns, jugglers and lion tamers rolled up today on cue to try for a place in his classroom.
Unlike Jerry Cottle himself, none of these hopefuls was running away to join the circus. But from as far away as Scotland, they were lured by the promise of life under the big top. Today, though, it was to a warehouse they'd come to audition for Britain's first circus school.
We're going to start the audition, and it's very difficult to audition because some of you obviously haven't got any talent at all.
Why the circus?
Why not? I just like entertaining people.
Well, you don't mind hanging upside down?
No, not at all.
Others wanted the clown's paint and the laughter of the crowd.
I don't know what it takes to be a good clown, but sometimes it comes easy, whatever, and people laugh.
At you?
Well, they laugh at me anyway.
Jerry Cottle says teaching youngsters circus life is essential if the big top's not to collapse completely. And the magic of the circus is to live on for children.
Other countries have got the circus school. France, Spain, America, all the Eastern Bloc countries. I really think it can create a new interest in circus because circus people are very stale because they've been born into it sometimes. It's the characters we want. It's the faces, the people who are enjoying the work. That's what we want to see in the circus.
Only 12 out of over 100 were lucky. For the rest, there was always another day.
Thanks for coming, but you're still a bit too young, you see. Can you come back in about 10 years? We'll make an appointment for you. Off you go now.
David Foster, ITN, inside the big top.
Never mind, he'll make it one day. Good night.
It's 35 years since the National Health was born, and this week it comes in for a checkup on TVAM. TVAM talks to the doctors, the nurses and the all-important patients and asks, has our health service lived up to its promise, and is it in good shape for the future? Don't miss the health service checkup every morning at 7:05 and again at 9:05. Plus, see stars on TVAM. On Wednesday, Doyle from The Professionals meets your all-time favourite from Coronation Street. And whatever the weather, Gordon Honeycomb's there with the news on every hour and half hour. Start your days brighter with TVAM.
We'll now look at the weather. There'll be a few showers, but much of the night will be dry with clear skies. It'll be a cold night, the temperature falling to 2 degrees centigrade, 36 degrees Fahrenheit, with frost on the ground and some icy roads. Monday will start bright and cold, but during the morning it'll cloud over and the afternoon and early evening will be wet. The temperature will be around 9 degrees centigrade, 48 degrees Fahrenheit. That's well up for late January, and winds will be fairly strong southerly. And that's the weather. Next, Julie Walters and John Duttine star in this week's love and marriage story, Family Man.
Hang around. This looks interesting.
There is one company who recognise that just as people work better when they work together,
What do you make of this, Mike?
so should computers. ICL.
We've got something here.
An ICL distributed system will let all the right people in your company put their heads together,
Let's try it on Alan.
pick each other's
I think I
brains,
see a gap.
and pool their resources.
Definitely a gap.
Can you use some R&D? Performance figures look good. What colour should it be?
ICL will allow your company, whatever its size, to achieve its full potential. ICL. We should be talking to each other.
Mrs. Bell's nice old cottage has two problems. The first is pretty windows that are drafty. Everest asked if they could help. In just one working day, Everest craftsmen fitted secondary windows inside all the original windows. No mess, no fuss, and no drafts. The second problem is some very noisy neighbours. Face him over, Jim! Now listen carefully. That's Everest soundproofing for you. You only fit double glazing once, so fit the best. Ooh, Everest.
I bought this Scotch videotape back in 1984. Do you know, it was guaranteed for a lifetime. They said it didn't matter how many recordings I made, every one would be as good as the first. Well, I had my doubts about that at the time. But I don't know. I'm beginning to believe it now.
Every recording as good as the first, or we'll give you a new tape. You can watch Scotch forever.
Portugal looks marvellous. But we'll never save that much in time. Looks like Benidorm again.
Sounds like you need a Midland save and borrow account.
What's that, Griffin?
Save a regular sum each month, anything over £10, and you can borrow 30 times that amount immediately.
A £300 loan, just like that?
You don't even have to ask. You have to pay interest while you're borrowing, of course, but we pay you good interest when you're saving.
Ooh, it's Portugal for us this year, Griffin. Bye.
Send us a postcard. If I were 20 years younger. The Midland Save and Borrow account from the Listening Bank.
Hello?
What time do you open?
7. Do you know what the
Have you
time...
got the new mannequin yet?
The what?
The new, longer mannequin.
As a matter of fact, yes.
Ah, how much longer is it?
About, so much.
And cooler? And smoother?
As a matter of fact, yes.
Ah, good. But still firmly packed, still mellow.
Ah, yes.
7 o'clock then. Bye. Oh, sorry to wake you.
Well, that's okay. It was ringing anyway.
Tastes like chocolate never tasted before. Only the crumbliest, flakiest chocolate. Tastes like chocolate never tasted before.
Cadbury's Flake, the crumbliest, flakiest milk chocolate in the world.
17.